I'm going to continue this topic of alcoholics and drug addicts because I have known countless drug addicts and alcoholics. Why? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because they're my age. They're my age. They're my generation. They're my generation. And my entire life, I have heard America talk shit about alcoholics and drug addicts, people inside of their active addiction. I have heard countless people judge them, assume their life, discriminate them, persecute them, hate upon them, have apathy toward them. Countless sober, educated people hated or had apathy, discrimination upon drug addicts and alcoholics, people with substance abuse disorder. I have rarely seen somebody that chose to step up to the plate and educate themselves or help these people inside of their addictions. I've rarely seen someone step up to the plate and say, I'm going to help solve this epidemic. I'm going to help solve it. I'm going to help these people get sober. I've rarely seen an American. I've rarely seen a friend or a family member, association, who decided to step up the plate and educate themselves on addiction and say, I'm going to help them. I'm going to help them get sober because they deserve everything that I have. I've never once heard an American say they deserve what I have. They deserve a spouse, children, a house, a car. They deserve vacations every year. They deserve to own things that they want and need. I've never heard anyone ever say that alcoholics and drug addicts deserve a house or a car or a vacation or a spouse or a child. I've never once heard that come out of the mouth of an American. But my entire life I've heard people hate upon them, spit upon them, mentally and verbally. And I'm making these videos to say enough is enough of your bullshit and your evil. And enough is enough of your hypocrisy. Enough is enough of your virtue signaling, how you guys think you're so good because you got a college degree, you got a house, a spouse, a kid, everything you could ever want, the vacations, everything you could ever want and need in your entire life, your entire lifetime. You had the opportunity to go to college or be working for the government, because countless people work for the government, work for the Air National Guard, the Army, the Navy, Marines. But guess what? Alcoholics and drug addicts, they're not allowed to have those jobs. Did you know for a long time alcoholics and drug addicts were not allowed to go to college either? That people with drug possession charges were not even allowed to go to college. Are you aware of that? How many people are aware of that? Because I'm sure a lot of you were not aware of that. But yeah, that was a thing. And it's probably still a thing in certain states and cities. Is that people with drug possession charges, certain charges, they're not allowed to go to college. Are you aware of that? But yet so many of you were allowed to go to college, weren't you? You're allowed to buy a house, buy a car. You're allowed to get any job you could ever want because you don't have a criminal record, because you were never traumatized as a child or an adult. Like most alcoholics and drug addicts, they were traumatized. They've been through severe, crazy, over-the-top life experiences, but nobody got to know them, so you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know because you never once got to know a drug addict or an alcoholic. Isn't that true? Isn't that true? There are countless Americans, most Americans have never gotten to know a drug addict or an alcoholic, somebody in their active addiction, or somebody that got in recovery and did get sober. Countless people don't even bother to try to get to know these people or to help these people. But you'll sure judge them and assume their life 24/7 and discriminate them 24/7, won't you? And pretend that they don't deserve what you have, everything that you have, everything you've ever had your entire life. You all pretend they don't deserve, like I said, the vacations, the cars, the houses, the job opportunities, the volunteering opportunities, the children, the spouses, the anything. Life opportunities in general. You don't believe they deserve life opportunities. But then you want to sit back in your chairs or your couches, sit back in your houses and your cars with your children, with your spouses, on your vacations, and you want to sit back and pretend that you are a good human being. That you're wholesome, that you're righteous. You do not fool me, America. Americans, you do not fool me. And countless Americans are spiritual and religious, and they don't care about the drug addicts and alcoholics. A lot of you don't care. Some of you do, some of you don't. A lot of you don't care. Instead, you just persecute them. You just discriminate them. They're trash. Let the trash take out the trash. You don't see these people as human beings. You've never once seen these people as human beings who matter. Who, matter of fact, they do have friends and family that care about them. Some of them have children that care about them, spouses that care about them, partners that care about them, significant others that cared about them, parents that cared about them. Nobody ever wants to admit that a drug addict or an alcoholic has a parent that loves them and wants them to get sober, or a spouse or significant other that cares about them and wants them to get sober, or that nobody wants to admit that these people have children that care about them and want them to get sober. Nobody ever wants to admit that these people deserve to have good careers just like you. They deserve to be able to go to college or to join the army or something, but they're not allowed to. They're not allowed to because of their criminal records. They're not allowed to, even though they served their jail time, the prison time, the parole, probation, their fine, even though they've already done all that. But you still, all of you want to still, most of you, still want to hold them accountable until the day they die for their crimes, don't you? Don't you? You want them to be held accountable until the day they die. Meanwhile, all of you, none of you want to be held accountable for giving money to drug addicts and alcoholics, or for discriminating them 24/7 and never helping them, never acknowledging that they're a human being too. They're a partner too, they're a spouse too, they're a child too, they're a friend too. Nobody wants to admit that these people in active addiction, nobody wants to admit that they have friends, they have family members, they have children, they have partners, they have significant others that care about them. Nobody wants to admit that most Americans refuse to give opportunities and options to people in active addiction or in recovery. And then you guys want to act like, well, why is nobody getting sober? How come nobody's getting sober? These people, they'll never get sober. What's the motivation when you guys refuse to give them jobs and housing opportunities? You refuse to even be their friend and get to know them. You refuse to acknowledge that these people are human beings with a soul. These people in active addiction, most of them are extremely talented, more talented than sober people I've ever met. The most talented people I've ever met in America were drug addicts and alcoholics. They are the writers. They are the musicians. They are the artists. They are the comedians of America. But yet Americans, and they're actors and actresses, but yet Americans want to pretend that these people don't matter. The ones that are in active addiction, the ones that aren't celebrities. If they're not a celebrity, if they're not rich or famous already, then they don't matter. They don't matter. But they're not rich and famous already, so we don't give a shit about them because they're not, on the red carpet yet. Then we don't give a shit that they're a comedian, a musician, a writer, an actor, an actress. We don't give a shit that they're a comedian, etc., 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 a dancer, whatever, an artist. We don't give a shit because they're not on the red carpet yet. They're not famous and rich yet. So we don't give a shit about their talents and their skills. We don't give a shit that drug addicts and alcoholics, most of them, are the most better fathers and mothers that I've ever seen. They are better mothers and fathers. They know how to talk to children better than people with college degrees. I've seen this countless times. I've seen drug addicts and alcoholics talk to their children better than countless people with college degrees. But hey, God gave you a free agency, didn't he? To judge people, to assume their life, to discriminate, persecute, to refuse to help these people. Because you refuse to admit and acknowledge that these people matter and that these people are humans and individuals that have family and friends that care about them and love them. You want to refuse to admit that these people have friends and family and significant others and children, and you want to refuse to believe they have talents and skills, that they could be more talented than you, they could be more skilled than you, they could be more educated than you, they could be better fathers and husbands and spouses and better career people than most of you. And I think that there's a reason why most Americans refuse to help drug addicts and alcoholics. I think it's a deeper issue that you people know for a fact. I think you guys know for a fact that drug addicts and alcoholics are more educated than you, are more smart than you, they're more passionate than you, more opinionated than you, they are more talented and skilled than you. And I think you're jealous and intimidated of them. I think that's the real reason why people aren't helping them. I think that's the real reason why sober, educated people are not helping drug addicts and alcoholics and their addictions. I think it's because people are intimidated by them. They're jealous of them, of their talents, their skills, their intellect. Because most of them that I've met in active addiction, they're intellectuals. A lot of them are intellectuals, and they're more humble than people with college degrees, than sober, educated people. I know for a fact there's countless people, friends and family members of mine and friends of mine, that wonder why I associate with drug addicts and alcoholics. And I'm going to tell you why right now. Because they are more humble than sober, educated people. They are more intellectual. They're more talented, more skilled. That is why I've spent a lot of time with alcoholics and drug addicts, in active recovery and inside of their active addiction. I see them as human beings, unlike most of you. I chose to get to know these people compared to most of you. I chose to see them as a human being that mattered compared to most of you. Now, if any of you want to change your ways and say, God, I'm sorry, I have not been helping these people that deserve to be helped, then I will respect you people. Then I will start to respect Americans. But until that happens, I'm not going to respect most Americans. I'm not going to respect most Americans until you all grow up and mature. Because you guys all pretend that the drug addicts and alcoholics don't grow up and they're not mature. But guess what? I don't think sober, educated people have grown up and matured. Because if you guys were mature and you women were mature, then you would put on your big panties and your big boxers, and you would help these men and women get sober. You would stop being jealous and intimidated by people that are smarter than you, more talented than you, more skilled than you, more humble than you. You would stop it, and you would help them achieve their dreams and achieve their goals. You would help them so they could be sober for their children, sober for their significant others. You would help them get sober for their friends and family members. You would help your neighbors, your friends, and family members get sober. If you actually gave a damn about the epidemic, about the addiction crisis. If you actually gave a damn about drug addicts and alcoholics that are homeless everywhere, committing crimes everywhere. If you actually gave a shit, then how come you're not helping them get sober? How come? How come? Because it's not even rocket science to help somebody get sober. It's not rocket science at all. The problem is too many people enable these people, and the other problem is that too many people discriminate against these people. All I see is discrimination on one side and enabling on the other side. That's all I've ever seen about sober, educated people. Their actions and words and thoughts towards drug addicts and alcoholics has always been discrimination, persecution, or enabling. Like I said, I've rarely seen people actually help these people. All I've ever seen is the majority of Americans enable them or discriminate against them. I have rarely seen somebody actually say, I'm going to help these people. I want to help these people. I want to help these people because they deserve a good life. They deserve to get their talents out there. They deserve to be heard. They deserve everything that you have ever had in your life. I think that sober, educated people take everything that they have for granted. I believe that you people take houses and cars and vacations, children, your spouses. I think that you take every little thing that you have, your careers. I think you take it all for granted. Because if you didn't take it for granted, you would be helping these people get sober and achieve their dreams too. Achieve their goals too. That's what I think. That's what I think. Sober, educated people always think, oh, they're better than these people. That's not what I see. That's not what I see. If you were so better than them, then you'd help them achieve their goals and their dreams because they're humans too. They're humans too. They just never had a chance because people discriminate against people with criminal records. People discriminate against anyone that's high, anyone that's under the influence of alcohol. All I've ever seen is people discriminate or enable, and discrimination and enabling is not helping people. That's never once helped a person. That's never once helped a person. Now, when is sober, educated people going to man up and grow up and mature and actually help these people achieve their goals and dreams? When are you going to man up and grow up, men and women, sober, educated people? When are you going to actually help these people? When are you going to tell God, I'm sorry that I discriminated or that I enabled these people, and I'm going to help them? I'm going to help them because they matter. I'd like to know when. I would like to know when it's going to happen. Because most of you need to repent and change your ways and say, God, I'm sorry I discriminated them, or I'm sorry I enabled them, and I'm going to help them. Sober, educated people all think that you're mature people, but you're not. Because if you're so mature, you would help these people achieve their goals and dreams. You would see these people as human beings of worth, of great worth. I do not see sober, educated people as better than people in their active addiction. I do not see that as better. I do not see them acting mature. Like I said, if you were all more mature, if you guys were actually mature, men and women, if you were actually mature, you'd help these people. You would help them achieve their goals and their dreams. You would see them as human beings that deserve to get their talents and their skills out there. That they deserve to be married and have healthy relationships with friends and family and spouses and with children. You'd help them, not harm them, not enable them, and not discriminate against them. God loves people that have been to jail, been to prison. God loves people that have been in active addiction. God sees their worth. So why is the Mormons and Christians in America not seeing their worth? That's what I would like to know. I would like to know that. Because God has said over and over and over again that he loves prisoners. He loves all people, that all people are full of worth. But I don't see the sober, educated Christians and non-Christians. I don't see these helping your neighbor, your friends, and family members get out of their addictions and to be sober. I don't see people doing all that they can to help these people. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing you people being mature and seeing their worth and getting to know these people. I'm not seeing the maturity of you getting to know a drug addict or an alcoholic. I'm not seeing you be mature enough to help them instead of enabling them, instead of discriminating against them, instead of hating on them, instead of being apathetic. I'm not seeing the maturity in sober, educated people. I'm not seeing the maturity. I've not seen the maturity. And so, like I said, if any of you have wondered for years why I associate with drug addicts and alcoholics, that's why. They're more knowledgeable than most people I know that have college degrees. They're more passionate, they're more opinionated, they're more talented, and they're more skilled. And from having many conversations with them, I think that they're the true mature people. They're talented, they're skilled. They just have never gotten the opportunity because everybody enables them and everybody hates upon them. Everybody discriminates them and persecutes them. Nobody allows them to have opportunities because, oh, they have a criminal record. Oh, even though they already served their jail time, their prison time, their fines, probation, parole, whatever it is, they already served their time. But you people still want them to be held accountable until the day they die. But oh, all of you pretend you're sinless, you're innocent, you're pure and holy, though. I don't see that. I don't see sober, educated people as innocent, pure, holy, that refuse to help people get sober. I do not think you're innocent, pure, and holy. I don't. I don't think you're mature. I don't think you're better than them. I don't. I think that most drug addicts and alcoholics, like I said, are more skilled and more talented, and you want to pretend they don't read or something? They're very educated people too. They're very educated people, just in different topics than you, different subjects than you, but they are very intelligent people. But nobody has ever given them a chance because, once again, they enabled them or they hated upon them and refused to give them opportunities. But a mature human being gives people opportunities. A mature human being wants people to have anything they could ever need and want, just like you have everything you want and need in life.